So I get asked questions about my race and ethnicity, which is going to happen, right? Because I put myself in the public. You got to, answer some questions. But I'm going to tell y'all something. I have never, ever had a white person in my whole life think I was white. When white people try to question my blackness, it's to cause problems within the community, right? I recognize what they're doing, just as and they're trying to question my credibility. They're trying to cause issues within the community that we're in. But I'm talking about real life, living day to day. In all the over 50 years of my life, I have never had a white person think that I was white. And because white people see, when they're looking at things, they see white and other. And it's always been interesting to me, especially as I'm watching it play out right now post-election, that people thought they were different. They thought like, oh, no, I'm Colombian. I'm not Panamanian, or I'm not from El Salvador. I'm from, Argentina or whatever. They think that, or they think, oh, no, I'm from Japan. I'm not from Vietnam. Like, white people don't see, don't differentiate. You're different from white. And so those people, particularly that are racist, are xenophobic, are not classifying you. They don't have a pecking order for the most part, right? They see whiteness and different. And so white people will look at me regardless of what they think I am. And trust me, they will ask, because it's like they're doing research like, so what are you? What is your background? Some of the rudest questions in the world because I want to know why sometimes, but okay, whatever. They'll ask, but trust me, they don't think I'm white. They think I'm other. And once you're othered, that opens you up to be discriminated against. Now let's talk about why some black people might say, well, what are you? Are you really black? Blah, 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 blah. I really want people to get, and don't get me wrong, I don't mind the questions at all because whatever, but I want you to understand that one of the reasons that people ask these questions is because they have the society, the white supremacist run society, has done everything to wipe out the history that they don't feel comfortable with. There is a reason why now you see this current administration, tearing up and flushing out files, going to our centers and ensuring that history is erased because they don't like it. And if we knew our history, the reason why they're anti-CRT and anti-African American studies and things like that is we would be very powerful. What you have to understand is that when we were enslaved and we were working on people's plantations, they raped the living daylights. They raped our people, our ancestors during this period all the time. Not every now and then, not sometimes. They raped us. They raped the women and they raped the men. And that has consequences today. One of the consequences is that most black families you see, the majority of black families, you can see almost every color represented. That's what I think makes us so amazing. So I am lighter than both of my black parents. And I am lighter than 3 of my black grandparents. One black grandma is probably my complexion. But this is the thing. If you have where they're raping us for their own sexual pleasure, their own violent nature, and they bred us. They were breeding us because the more babies we had, the bigger their employee pool was, and that's what they did. We have to remember our history. No one should be shocked when you see lighter hued black people. It should not. And so when they raped us, of course, we're going to have, some people going to have different texture hair. Some people going to have lighter skin. Some people going to have different color eyes. That is our history. And we forget about it because they have wanted us to forget about it. They want it to be like we were enslaved and was almost halfway happy. And we were enslaved for only 6 months. And it was pleasant and we halfway liked it. And it was no different than indentured servitude. And all these lies they tell us and the things they make up. Massa was raping the hell out of us. And so was his wife raping people. They were raping us all the time. And so we have to be real clear that DNA and genetics are a trip. And you don't know what's going to show up. And so knowing our history and that we all come from the same history. We all come from the same background. If we come from an enslaved, your people were enslaved Africans, we hold the same history, and it should bond us and not take us apart. That's another thing we have to remember. God, this is going on too long, and I'm sorry, y'all, but another thing I want us to remember, because I'm passionate about it, is that they purposely have done everything to separate us, because a united people is a strong people. And so when they put us and they were enslaving us, you have to realize there'd be a few overseers and 200 slaves. And how did they keep us, enslaved? A lot of reasons, a lot of ways they did, but one of the ways was to keep us separate. Right? We already were coming from different tribes and speaking different languages and things, but keep us separate and say we're going to treat the light skin people differently than we treat the dark skin. And so we have these things, this fraction within our community that they created. And so it seems to me that we recognize that dynamic was created specifically to keep us apart. We would do everything in our powers to decolonize our mind, reject that way of thinking, and come together.